I'm going to talk about democracy and really try to bring in the spirit of the founding fathers. Marianne Williamson had said in one of her speeches that in the Jewish tradition, they understand that they can pass down wisdoms and traditions and such, but every generation had to really learn for itself or define for itself what God is. And I think the same goes, and she said the same goes for democracy. So we're in a litigious time here at 2019 going into 2020. It's a time when there's such a divide between left and right, red and blue, whatever you want to call it. It's dualism and separation, and definitely not reality, because if there is one force that creates us all, there is really one force, and there's a oneness that has unique expressions. But God never contradicts himself. Truth never contradicts itself. What's contradicting is our fantasies, our ideas about what's right, and our behaviors that come from those ideas. So what I'm experiencing is that there's so much focus on the letter of the law, which can be interpreted. Everything can be interpreted. The Bible's interpreted, and there are many wars against one another over the same book, but different interpretations. The Constitution is interpreted. So then it's important to go back to the spirit of what brought about this nation of the United States of America, the Constitution, and the rights that were talked about. The Bill of Rights speak about the pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But beyond the words, because we all know that absolute truth is found in silence. It's beyond the words that are written and recorded for the movement of true democracy and liberty and justice for all. The spirit of that is what we need to access. And some things really haven't changed. I mean, at the time of the writing of the Constitution and of the Revolutionary War, there were kings that made decisions over most of the people. Kings that have never plowed a field, never worked as a stonemaker, never did any plumbing, never did many of the jobs that most of us do to run society. We have governments that are run by such kings, which we call politicians. I'm here in Sweden, where a person goes straight from an education to be a politician into being a politician without any experience and any real work that keeps society going. They just go into making decisions over others with their lack of expertise, lack of experience, making rules over those who do the work, get through the education, and who are helping people, like doctors and teachers and different business people. So the spirit of really trusting each individual for their divine abilities is really what's behind democracy. And accepting that in our limitations as being finite individuals, we can't know everything about everything. And then we have specializations that we tend to go into. But we do want to always access the core spirit, and that is to manifest greater freedom, love, beauty, and we can connect to that when we connect to nature. The founding fathers were fed up with all the rules that were coming from abroad, that were coming from another place that had no connection to really being supporting the people. This is something that is still prevailing at this time. We've just taken one onion layer of it, and we go deeper into what really allows for each individual the pursuit of happiness. And that is what each individual must decide for themselves. Then we create structures that give the support for that freedom. We have roadways, we have education facilities, we have libraries, we provide electricity for so many things, that there's lighting and we can work beyond the dark hours. Right now in northern Sweden, those dark hours start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so we appreciate these kind of technological developments and these systems and structures that allow us the freedom to pursue our happinesses. And then we may be overly creative in creating laws and ideas that impinge the happinesses, especially when we get into the thinking of fears. Oh, they could take this away from me, or anything that then brings up anger, brings up self-righteousness, brings up conflict mentality, and the reason to fight and put up walls and do unto others that which we would not want done unto ourselves. So a lot of that has happened. You know, some of these decisions that this man in the power position of a president of the United States, I don't even consider him someone who represents the people and stands up for the people. Some of his decisions of what he's impinged upon others, I don't think he would, well, I know he's not accepting for his self, his own family. And that's like separating children from their parents and not allowing people who are born in other countries to be allowed to live in the United States. He would be without a wife. So I'm just bringing these type of things up to look at a deeper level of the spirit of what democracy stands for, what the founding fathers have fought for. They gave their lives for freedom and pursuit of happiness and the respect of individuals. And they didn't have it all right. They didn't include women. They didn't include certain races. But they had a concept that they were developing. And now it's our time in this generation to further develop that. So this is spirituality. This is bringing light into the world. And it's a very tricky little area filled with lots of emotions and temptations to go into separatism and that us against them mentality. So I'm encouraging us to go into the spirit of divine freedom, divine democracy. Take a deep breath now into the silence to listen for the truth. Breathe in. Hold the silence. And slowly breathe out. Repeat again with me. Into the silence. Focus on your breath. Hold in silence. And slowly release. Last time. Breathe in, silence. Hold this silent truth. And release out. In the moment of silence, we may hear or sense or feel a truth. For the sake of freedom and your pursuit of happiness, pause and take 3 deep breaths of silence as often as you can think of it. And in that, we shall find true democracy. Go forth with blessings.